There is a very specific hollow silence that falls over your home, the exact moment you realize your cat is missing. You walk through the hallway expecting to see a familiar tail turning the corner, but the space is empty. You call out for Oreo, checking his favorite sunny spot by the window, feeling under the bed, rattling his ceramic food bowl. But there is no answering meow, no soft padding of paws on the floorboard. Then you see it. The front door is just slightly ajar, caught in a cool breeze, and a sudden heavy rush of panic hits your chest. Oreo has slipped outside. The world beyond that door suddenly looks massive, dangerous, and impossibly wide, and your only thought is that you have to find him before it is too late. In those first few frantic hours, human instinct tells you to run. You want to burst out the door, tear down the street, and shout his name until your voice goes hoarse. You imagine printing out hundreds of flyers, asking every neighbor, and walking miles away from your home in every direction. You imagine that he is wandering aimlessly, traveling farther and farther away into a vast and dangerous world. But this frantic running, this loud and desperate searching, is often the very first mistake. It is the exact behavior that pushes a frightened cat further into the shadows. To understand how to bring Oreo back, you have to completely shift your perspective. You have to understand what he is experiencing in this exact moment. When an indoor cat suddenly finds himself outdoors, he does not go on a grand adventure. He does not confidently trot down the street to explore the neighborhood. Instead, he is instantly overwhelmed by a tidal wave of terrifying sensory input. The sky is too open. The sudden roar of a passing car sounds like a massive predator, and the ground smells of unfamiliar territorial animals. His survival instincts take over completely, flipping a switch in his brain from comfort to sheer terror. Because of this overwhelming fear, Oreo will not travel far. He will immediately drop low to the ground, his pupils dilating until his eyes are almost entirely black, taking in every shadow. He will look for the very first dark, tight space he can squeeze his body into. It might be under your neighbor's wooden porch, deep inside a dense thorn bush, or wedged behind some dusty garbage cans in an alleyway just 10 feet from your own front door. He is terrified. He is so incredibly scared that he enters a state of absolute silence. Even if he hears your familiar footsteps walking right past his hiding spot, even if he hears you shouting his name in a panic, his deepest instinct tells him to stay completely frozen. In his mind, answering you means making a sound, and making a sound means revealing his location to the terrifying world around him. This brings us to the first crucial step in finding a lost cat, and it is a vital step that many people overlook when they are blinded by worry. Instead of wandering far away to look for him, you need to draw him back to the place he knows. You need to create a strong, familiar scent station. Cats navigate their world primarily through smell, and right now Oreo is surrounded by the confusing, sharp, and threatening odors of the outdoors. You have to give him an invisible, comforting trail to follow in the dark. Think about the things inside your home that smell most strongly of safety, warmth, and love to him. Go into your house and gather these items. Do not wash them. Take his favorite fleece blanket, the one covered in his fur that he kneads with his paws every evening. Take a t-shirt you have worn all day, an item heavily carrying your personal scent, and place it on your front porch or outside the door he escaped from. Bring out his scratching post or his favorite fabric bed. Place them strategically near your door. But there is an even more powerful scent you can use. Many rescue experts highly recommend placing a small amount of his used litter in a cardboard box outside. To a human, this seems very strange, but to Oreo, that specific territorial scent is a glowing lighthouse in a terrible storm. It cuts through the unfamiliar smell of damp earth, wet leaves, and street pollution. When the neighborhood eventually goes quiet, and he finally dares to inch his nose out of his hiding spot, that familiar scent will catch on the breeze. It will tell his panicked brain exactly which direction is safe. It tells him, this is the way home. Once you have established this powerful anchor of familiar scents, you must completely change the way you search. This is where another very common mistake happens. Desperate owners often search during the bright, busy hours of the day. They walk through bustling neighborhoods, calling out loudly, their voices completely masked by the sounds of lawnmowers, barking dogs, and delivery trucks. But a cat like Oreo, trapped in survival mode, is never going to break his cover in broad daylight. The noise is simply too much, and the risk of being seen is too high. The true search, the most effective search, begins when the human world goes to sleep. The best time to find a lost cat is deep in the quiet hours, typically between midnight and 4 in the morning. This is when a heavy, peaceful blanket of silence falls over the neighborhood. The cars have parked, the dogs are locked inside, and the terrifying, unpredictable hum of human activity fades away. The shadows grow long, and the environment finally feels still. This is the exact moment when a frightened cat finally feels brave enough to creep out from under the porch to look for a way back. Step out into this quiet night. Bring a strong flashlight, but do not wave the beam around frantically like a spotlight. Walk very slowly. Every single step should be soft and deliberate. Instead of shouting Oreo's name, which can sound demanding, sharp, or alarming to a stressed animal, speak in the softest, most gentle conversational tone you have. Talk to him the exact same way you do when he is safely curled up on your lap at home. Say his name smoothly, stretching out the vowels, letting your voice carry a sense of calm reassurance. Pair your soft voice with a familiar, positive sound from his daily routine. If he loves a specific type of treat, bring the plastic bag with you. Shake it very gently. Just create a soft rustle, then pause and listen. That pause is the most important part. In the dead of night, without the background noise of the city, you must listen far more than you speak. You are listening for the tiny crunch of a dry leaf. You are listening for a soft shift in the bushes by a fence line. And if you are patient, you are listening for a very small, hesitant, high-pitched meow answering your call from the darkness. And then, it happens. You are scanning the edge of a garden wall. Your flashlight sweeps across the base of a dense, shadowy hedge, and suddenly, 2 glowing eyes reflect the bright beam back at you. The flashlight catches the familiar markings on his face. It is Oreo. Your heart leaps into your throat. Relief washes over you so intensely, so powerfully, that your first overwhelming instinct is to rush forward, plunge your hands into the bushes, and scoop him up into your arms. You just want the nightmare to be over right now. But this is the final, and perhaps the most critical moment where so many people go wrong. Do not run to him. Do not reach for him abruptly. If you rush rapidly at a cat that has been terrified outdoors for days, you are no longer his loving, familiar owner. In his heightened state of adrenaline, his brain does not recognize you in that split second. You are just a large, fast-moving shape coming directly at him out of the dark. His fight or flight response will trigger instantly, and he will bolt. If he runs now in sheer panic, he might leave his hiding zone completely, pushing him into unfamiliar territory and making it infinitely harder to ever find him again. Instead of moving forward, you must force yourself to do the exact opposite. Stop moving completely. Lower your body slowly to the ground. Sit softly on the cold concrete sidewalk or the damp grass of the lawn. Make yourself as small, rounded, and non-threatening as possible. Turn your shoulders slightly sideways so you are not facing him directly head-on. A direct, unblinking stare is a sign of severe aggression in the feline world, so look at him with soft eyes, blinking very slowly, and then gently look slightly away. Show him with your body language that you are not a predator making a move. Now, you have to wait. This requires a tremendous amount of emotional control and patience, but it is the absolute only way to rebuild his trust. Keep speaking in that low, gentle, melodic voice. Tell him he is safe. Tell him he is a good boy. Crinkle the treat bag one more time, very softly, and place a few pieces of his favorite food on the ground a few feet in front of your knees. Extend one hand very slowly, keeping your fingers relaxed and open, and just rest it on the ground. You have to let Oreo make the final choice to close the distance. You will actually see the deep conflict in his body language. His ears might be pinned back flat against his head, his tail tucked tightly around his legs, his body low and tense. But as he watches you sitting perfectly still, as he hears the familiar, comforting cadence of your voice, the heavy fog of outdoor fear begins to slowly lift. The scent of the worn t-shirt you left on the porch is still clinging to your jacket. The wild, feral instincts that kept him alive under those bushes start to melt away, slowly being replaced by the deep memory of warmth, safety, and the feeling of home. Very slowly, agonizingly slowly, he takes one tiny step forward. His belly is scraping the ground. He pauses to sniff the air. He takes another step toward the treats. He reaches your outstretched, waiting hand, and suddenly, the tension breaks. He leans his soft cheek heavily against your knuckles. That first, physical touch completely shatters the spell of the terrifying outside world. The terrified, wild stray vanishes, and your beloved cat returns to you. He lets out a loud, rough, vibrating purr, rubbing his whole body against your arm, asking to be safe. Only then, with slow, calm, and deliberate movements, do you gently wrap your jacket around him, holding his warm body securely to your chest, and finally carry him back into the safe, bright light of your home. The journey from a lost, terrified cat to a safe, emotional reunion is rarely about running the fastest or shouting the loudest. It is a journey of understanding their deep instinctual fear. It is about laying down a quiet path of familiar scent to guide them through the overwhelming dark. It is about waiting for the silent hours of the night, when the world is finally still enough for them to hear your gentle voice. And most importantly, it is about having the incredible patience to sit quietly on the cold ground, holding back your own desperate need to grab them, and giving them the space to choose to walk back into your arms. When you stop acting like a panicked human and start understanding the world through the eyes of a frightened cat, you bring them home not with frantic force, but with quiet, profound trust.